Can I hold it? Broken under the weight. Did you make me just to hurt me? Drain the blood from my body. Why am I here if all I feel is pain? When the good feels so fragile, like it's fighting to stay. Are you trying to hurt me? 'Cause it feels like I can't escape. Don't see an explanation, it just looks like you're gonna win. 'Cause I'm dying to know that I'm not alone, and I'm dying to see if you're gonna go. Are you trying to hurt me, or can you take the pain? Take the pain away. Calm is when I tell myself the ocean's dry. Feeling good is when I numb the boiling blood inside. And I can call 100,000 times, but your doubts won't fade away. And all the pictures hanging on your wall tell a story that you can make. You can make it all. Are you trying to hurt me? 'Cause it feels like I can't escape. Don't see an explanation, it just looks like you're gonna win. 'Cause I'm dying to know that I'm not alone, and I'm dying to see if you're gonna go. Are you trying to hurt me, or can you take the pain? Take the pain away. Running to feel alive. Running to feel alive. I don't want a friend, I want my life into waiting to get there.
Piss off, Ghost!
Think I understand why I'm losing sleep. Keep staring at the wall, feeling incomplete. So hold me, 'cause it's a bitter world, but we can make it beautiful. So hold me, 'cause it's a cruel world, but you make it so beautiful. To me, can't get control of the world. I stand at his feet. Can only be where I am, with the ones next to me. So hold me, 'cause it's a bitter world, but we can make it beautiful. So hold me, 'cause it's a cruel world, but you make it so beautiful to me. So hold me, can make it beautiful. So hold me, 'cause it's a cruel world, but you make it so beautiful to me. Take my hand and move it through yours. I feel your skin, your heart in my soul. You understand the storms in my mind, right through the hurricane, and heal my wounds. You held me when I need you. You left me off the ground. You love me when I need you. You heal my bones. Oh, so let me do the same. Let me do the same. When I see your eyes moving so slow, I read through your heart with your head on my shoulders. When I'm by your side, take your hand in mine, hold you in my soul till our storm is over. You held me when I need you. You left me off the ground. You love me when I need you. You heal my bones. Oh, so let me do the same. Let me do the same. Let me do the same. Let me do the same.
Tell me a lie to keep me in line. You swear it's a sign, but it's the torture to rise. Uncover your eyes, see what's outside. Eventually you will find the time. And what if I believe mind. You'll never be satisfied. Blame the divine. Eventually they'll find the time. And what if I believe you? Or what if I believe you? What if I go on, give it your all tonight? You can say anything you like. I'm not your savior, so far away. Blinded by anger, you forgot who to play. I'll never be your lighthouse in the dust. If I had my way, I'd guide you to the rocks. Go on, give it your all tonight. You can say anything you like. You can say anything you like. Go and give it your all. You can say anything you like. What if I believed you? What if I could? Go on, give it your all tonight. You can say anything you like. I'm not your savior, so far away. Blinded by anger, you forgot who to play. I'll never be your lighthouse in the dust. If I had my way, I'd guide you to the rocks. Go on, give it your all tonight. You can say anything you like. Go and give it your all tonight. Oh.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me, Trav Shred. Welcome to tonight's episode of Talk for Today. Really excited, doing it a little bit differently on a Sunday. Vibes are a little bit different. I'm in my Sunday mood. Very laid back. I leave for vacation tomorrow. Tonight we have a special guest. He'll be coming in about 7:05. You're looking at my Zoom screen right now. So he'll be popping in. And we're gonna start our conversation just like that. I don't like to have too much before. I like to get right into it. Hey, Cody, thanks for coming by, man. Thank you for the follow, too. I don't often get a follow right before I start. So thanks for coming. Tonight we're going to be talking about addiction, my friendship with Dennis. And we met, God, it must be... Yeah, sure. You can talk about whatever you want. We're going to be getting started in a few minutes here. Again, I'm going to be talking with a friend. We've been friends for like 10 years. Hey, Charlie, what's going on? He's going to kind of give his story about what he's got going on. Hey, Brad Pitt's super handsome. Let me tell you something, Cody, before we get started here. What celebrities do and what the media tells you, they're constantly going to tell you. It's going to tell all of us that what we think about ourselves is not good enough. And it is up to us as a community and us as people to remind each other that what they say is not true. You know, we are all worthy of success, love, happiness, dignity, all of those things. So don't let it get you down, my friend. Please don't. Life is too short, and it's tough. I get it. You know, I've been there. I started doing this whole thing because I've had my bouts with depression, and it's a battle. It's a battle, but you are 100, 1,000, 1,000,000% good enough just the way you are, and I don't say that just to make you feel better. I say that to you because it's true. And that goes for anyone else here watching, and that comes through in this channel. That's what we do. We're building a community. You know, do I think you can change it? I think you can do the best you can to be healthy. You know, if how you look, you know, is important to you, you know, you can go to the gym, and that's a healthy thing. Exercise is healthy. You know, the way you eat, you know, financial success is good too. I mean, that's, you know, there's such thing as financial health, you know, keeping an eye on where you spend your money and how you spend it. And those are all things you learn over time. So like if you're 20 years old, dude, I'm 30 and I'm still figuring it out. There's some people, you know, don't figure it out till later. This shit isn't a race, man. I promise you. It's not a race. But it's tough. You know, you gotta give yourself some time. Have I ever had acne and six-pack abs? Yes, I've had both. I don't have acne and I don't have six-pack abs at the moment. But there was a time where I had six-pack abs and did have acne. So, yeah. Is that a good answer for you? Anyway, thank you guys for being here. Charlie, I saw you pop in. Thanks for coming by, man. This program has been huge for people. They seem to like when I have guests. The last one we had on Brendan was from a foundation called Today I Matter, and they do everything to promote wellness and mental health in the community. You know, again, building it from where we are, because the outside world doesn't teach us this stuff. Oh, hey, Mike. What's going on, man? Thank you. We should have our guest popping in any minute. He's a savvy dude. I just gave him a link and booted up my full screen here. I don't know why I have a line over here on the side, but as you can see, I am in a Zoom call right now, and he should just be popping in. Thanks for coming by, man. Invite people. Host it to your channel. Let's get as many people as we can watching this. I think this is relevant information to anyone, regardless of where you are in life. Hey, Cody, just do you. You love Nintendo? That's awesome. Watch any movie you want. And the more you're open, like you are with people, you're going to find a lot more people just like you. I'm going to let you guys know, for those of you that are new here, it's going to be hard for me to be interactive in the chat. I logged on early so we could do it for a minute. Oh, we got Dennis coming in right now. So hang tight. If we get time to answer questions, we'll do it. Let's see what we got. Oh, what's up, dude? I think you just got to turn your audio on. Yeah, we got you. What's up, man?
You got me out? All right, what's going on,
looking
brother? How
good.
are you, man?
It's been a minute, huh?
I look okay. I was trying to remember the last time I saw you, dude. It's been a long time.
I think the last time I saw you was when you were working over at Bonefish. Or no. It was at Camille's.
Camille? Oh, okay, yeah. So that was...
That had to have been like 3 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Easily.
Because that was... Camille's was right after I moved back from Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you, man?
I'm good, brother. I'm doing really, really good. This quarantine's been good to me. I'll be honest with you.
Dude, me too. me too. You know, you get all the time to like figure out the shit you want to do.
Absolutely.
You know, we had a little bit of extra money. I know people have their opinions on that, but like,
I'm okay with
you could dump it, or you could use it towards something good.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
That's really what I tried to do, and it's
That's exactly
I
what
got
I'm
this.
doing. I'm
This is
saving.
what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah. It looks really good too.
Thanks, man. I
Your
appreciate
production
it.
quality has been, getting better every week. I like
I'm
it.
trying.
I like this. I like what you're doing.
Thank you, man. And I know you're a big computer gamer type dude, so you understand that it's not just getting on and turning the
You have
computer
to
on.
work 24
Yeah,
hours.
it is
a day.
not an easy thing
No.
at all.
Yeah, you have to be on social media, making a presence,
Yeah.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Dude, it's
You can't-
it's a grind, and they're
Yeah.
doing Phase, the internet,
Yeah.
the gaming team. They're doing their Phase 5 recruitment right now.
Oh,
And
nice.
I wanted to do it so bad, but it's all in the
Oh,
next
yeah.
2 weeks, and I'm going on vacation. I'm
course.
like, oh my god, really?
Yeah,
Of all,
that's the 1 week you're not at your
funny.
PC, dude. That's just
it's
how it works.
funny.
Yeah, that's how life works.
So I'm trying to think where we start here. I'm just like happy to see you, man, because
I know, dude. I am really happy to see you.
we always got along so well.
And there was a point in my life where, I really, especially, I'm thinking back to like a certain specific time, with
Yep.
the whole ring situation, and I never got to really like apologize for that. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
this is
dude.
an awesome opportunity for
Well,
me. to,
yeah,
like,
we're gonna have an
come on
opportunity to
and
talk about that.
Talk about all that, and I'm very excited.
Those were some crazy times. Maybe we
Yeah.
should give everyone like a history of like how we know each other and like
Yeah.
how we got here. We've known each other what, like 10 years at least.
At least, because
We met
if
at
we go back to
college.
high school, well, was
Oh,
it college?
it
or
might have been high school
Because it
because
was Tots days back when I was playing the thing at the top of the stairs.
you're a year younger than
And
me,
that
right?
was before college for me. So that had to have been 2009.
What year did you graduate high school?
2009.
Okay, so yeah, you're a year younger than me. I think it was my first year of college I met you, and you were a senior. And then
Okay,
we
that
had a
makes
class together at MCC, and we
Yeah,
started
yeah, we
hanging
did
out.
we
Yeah.
had the project together. Yeah, that was fun.
We
Yeah, hell
bullshitted
yeah.
our way for that one, man. Oh
Hey, we got an
my
A, though, I think.
god,
You
we
know,
did.
hell yeah.
We made it happen.
Fake it till you make it.
And it's cool because a bunch of people from Vernon are gonna be coming in tonight. They heard I was
Oh,
having
awesome.
you on, and they were like,
That's
"Oh my
awesome,
god, dude, a lot of people cheering for you, and a lot of people happy for you."
And that's
I want you to know. I want you to know that.
That it feels good to hear, and from my perspective, that's always been a part of my driving force.
Mhm.
It's like I really want to make a mark and show that recovery is possible.
And it's hard, man.
It is fucking hard. Pardon
And
my language.
but it's everywhere. No, you can swear on here. It's
Okay,
not-
I don't know
it's-
if
it's
you're.
not
I
a
was
big deal.
just wondering. I'm like, did I check a thing? Check
We
boxes,
we
but-
just don't do racism or homophobia or
no,
like typical
same,
like
yeah.
asshole behavior. But
Yeah,
you're
don't
allowed
be
to
an
swear.
asshole.
I'm drinking
Cool.
a beer right now. Like we're
Party on, dude. Yeah.
we're good. We're having a good time.
It's fucking Sunday. Yeah.
So as you guys see in the title, we're talking about addiction today, and Dennis and I have been friends forever, and I didn't really experience it firsthand. I kind of saw it from the outside. We were both playing in bands together. You were in Believing in Giants, and I was in Burn Lexington, and I was friends with the guys in your band, and they were kind of alluding to it, and then there was a whole situation in the ring. We'll get into that. I don't know where that was in your story.
Right. 'Cause-
So why don't we just tell the
Yeah,
whole
let's
story?
start from- I'm gonna start from
why
the
don't you
beginning.
start?
I
and
think I
like,
should just start from
feel
the
free to
beginning.
just talk. Like
Yeah, awesome.
I'll chip in where I feel I need to.
I like it.
All right.
Because I'm gonna really kind of tie in like how gaming helps me and
Yeah,
how it
that-
has helped me and
That's
how
why
it,
we do this, man.
because it really goes back to the beginning. So I grew up in a upper middle class household. I didn't face a lot of the struggles that many people have to deal with, but my father was an alcoholic. So from a young age, I used gaming as a way to escape the household. I used gaming as a way to sort of, just find my peace. I was able to find my identity in these role playing games. Because from a very early age, I gravitated toward games like Zelda and things where I could become the hero.
You're a
I
wild guy
always-
now.
Oh, I'm a wild
Still.
guy. Yeah, well, I'm getting into there.
Good. Good.
I always wanted to be the hero. from as a kid. I wanted to be the guy who was solving problems and was there. When I found World of Warcraft in 2004, right, it was like the beta for vanilla. I fell in love with World of Warcraft, and that has really still to this day I still play World of Warcraft. Like there has not been a time in my life where I have not, in one way or another, been involved in the gaming community in the gaming space.
We used to bust your chops, man, for
Oh,
being
yeah.
so into WoW. I remember that.
Dude, but
You're
like
killing
it was
it
my
now.
life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it was like back, that was back in like Burning Crusade.
Mm-hmm.
So like that was like when like player versus player was becoming a thing, and like esports hadn't really like erupted yet, and so we were all kind of just like trying to make this thing possible. And I'm sure you're familiar with Reckful.
Oh yeah. I mean,
big WoW guy, and he was starting. This is when he was starting to do tournaments, and like arenas, like a really big thing. So that was like a big part of my life, like that whole player versus player aspect of PvP. But going back, so let's see here, I started playing drums, and I got involved with hardcore bands, and that's kind of where like my drinking.
Dude, me too. That's where the cigarettes, everything
yeah,
started popping
cigarettes,
in. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's where I didn't start dabbling with opiates until I got my wisdom teeth out. And they gave me like a prescription of perks with a refill, and in like 2 days I had run through my whole prescription. Like right there was the first red flag. Like maybe you shouldn't. Like my dad's an alcoholic. This is hereditary. Like maybe I shouldn't be playing around with these pills. But I didn't care. I was just an 18-year-old kid.
You didn't want to feel any
pain
either.
Absolutely.
Whether it was physical or the other stuff.
Exactly, because at this time in my life, I had my oldest sister. She was sick. She had an autoimmune disorder. So this was at a time where her body was starting to break down. And so if I go back to 2010, from 2010 2012, I experienced a lot of like trauma and that loss and grief side. I lost my grandfather in 2010. My sister died in 2012. And at this point in my life, like my dad was more of like a friend. I didn't have like a fatherly figure outside of my grandfather. So the glue that was like keeping me together from those two people passing just was gone.
Right.
I didn't have a reason to really.
Right.
I didn't need to impress anybody else. Essentially my will to be good was gone. I didn't want to be the hero anymore. And so that's when, after getting my first job in a restaurant, I had started bartending. I started using pills recreationally, just because that was the way for me to escape. My sister was on a whole bunch of medication, and I happened to find her supply of Dilaudid, and that was just kind of the catalyst that sent everything off.
What is it called? I've never heard that before.
So Dilaudid is what's the word? It's like hydroxymorphone or something. It's like an opiate that they should only use post-operation. Okay. It's like a very, very heavy full agonist. Yeah. Right. It's like so that, from doing all those drugs, it escalated my tolerance, and I tried heroin for the first time.
Yeah, well, it made you more dependent too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was. Sure. By that point in time, I was waking up dope sick, and I, was that where I was not only mentally dependent to the point where every waking hour was taken up by thoughts of, my next fix.
Yeah, you need it.
I needed it. Oh, absolutely.
Survival.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It's like I was almost at a point where I was still enjoying getting high at this point in time, but it was getting to the point where getting high was more of a chore than a recreational activity for me anymore.
Right. And it's not so easy, People start figuring out what's going on, and then you get good at lying. I mean, I don't know if you watched any of my last episode with Brendan, and he was saying he got so good at lying.
Oh, it's
just so
you could lie with a straight face. Oh yeah, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. The people that you love most and are closest to you, unfortunately, are your easiest victims. Because they're the people who are gonna want to see good in you. They're gonna want to see, think that you're doing these things for the right reasons. And really, I just want $20. I just want to get high. I just need the ride to Hartford. I don't really actually need you for anything else outside of that. And I really want to remember where I was going with this, but
It's you're just you got the drugs from your sister after she
Yeah,
passed away,
so
and that
yeah, so
escalated it. Yeah.
yeah, when I discovered heroin, that's exactly where it was going. So after I discovered heroin, I realized that I needed to get help. You know, it started to kind of seep into my family. My family was realizing what was going on. This was like 2011, 2012. We're kind of getting into, because I went to rehab for the first time. Well, for the real, like, it actually worked at the end of 2013. So like from 2012 to 2013, basically all of that year, 2013, I was in and out of like state rehabs. I went down to Groton. I tried Stonington. I did a bunch of 30-day, 90-day programs at ADRC in Hartford on Blue Hill Ave. And then at the end of 2013, I was at my sort of my wit's end. This is like my rock bottom. This is my rock bottom, or what I thought was my rock bottom at the time. You know, I had been kicked out of my house and I had nowhere else to go.
Right.
I was told about this program in Boston. It was fully residential. It was 15 months long though. So I was like, do I really want to go to a program for a year and a half? Like, no, but do I have any other option? No. So here I am. I'm going to Boston.
Sure.
You know, like yeah, I didn't have a choice. And this is where we're going to kind of get into that whole ring situation, because the ring situation happened in 2012. And then I went to rehab in 2013. And in 2012, this is where I was basically trying to hide my addiction from everybody. You know, I remember, a specific New Year's Day party or something that I offered like just some dope to like one of our mutual friends, and it was like a whole big deal. And I was like, why are you guys freaking out? You know, because at that point in time in my life, my brain chemistry has changed. You know, like I wasn't, I'm not thinking straight. I'm just like, I don't understand what the big deal is.
Do you think you knew right from wrong?
Honestly, I think I knew right from wrong, but if my moral compass got in the way of me getting high, I was able to justify wrongdoing. You know?
And then would you feel worse about it because you knew?
Oh my God, I feel like shit. I would feel like absolute dog shit.
There too.
So like when I took that ring, I didn't think of it as, oh, this is a big piece of someone's history. I didn't take it for the value that it had in someone's life. That was a dollar sign to me. Yeah. You know.
So for anyone wondering the ring story, we should probably.
Yeah, I should. I don't know. You know.
So I'll tell you my version.
Yeah, tell you my. Yeah, I want to hear your point of view. Yeah.
My band and his band, we were recording with the same producer in Chicopee, who recorded at his parents' house. It was like it was like their basement, basically, right? And we had just gotten done, but I became really good friends with this producer. I'm not going to use his name. I became really good friends with him, and we, would kind of shoot the shit, just, like friends. We're friends now, whatever. And I just heard an instance where, you were like clearly like dope sick or like nodding off. I don't know if you were high.
Yeah,
I was
using that day when we were recording. Yeah.
And went to the bathroom for a long time, and Mom's engagement ring was gone. And it was really, dude, I look at myself back then, I was like, dude, I want to kill Dennis. Because I knew you, and I didn't want to believe that. Like, I felt like you needed just like a whop upside the head from your friends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I didn't understand that you were sick. And like this, just like you guys see what I'm doing now, this is why I do this. I don't want people to be aggressive to our friends who are struggling, our brothers and sisters who are struggling, because it's really, they're trying to survive. Like raising a hand and being aggressive about it isn't going to help them get better. I hear about this all the time where, a family member, there's a family problem. Number one, they don't want to talk about it. And when they do, they someone's so mad, they want to be violent, this or that. And it's like, dude, like they don't need to be judged right now. Like they need help. And I mean, I don't know what your memory of it is. Like, obviously, if I came across a bad way, I apologize. Yeah. I mean, we all just were I didn't know how to deal with it. I'm 23 years old, never had an addict in my life. Yeah, we were kids.
Honestly, and from my recollection, I was the only one I knew who was going through this battle.
You were. I'm pretty sure.
I felt so alone in that, and that I really didn't feel like I could reach out to somebody. Mm-hmm. Because the stigma kind of still was there. That's not exactly something I want to tell to all of my
Mhm.
friends. You know what I mean? Like,
Of course.
because from my point of view at that time, it was like people were my friends when I had drugs and I wanted to share those drugs.
Hmm.
But when I didn't, I had I had a problem when
So
I
you
didn't.
see it
You
was a
know,
bad
so then I was
situation
like,
feeding
well,
bad behavior.
this is kind of,
Yeah.
it's it was like a whatever two-way street sort of situation.
Uh-huh.
But I remember that day like from what I want to say is clear as day. Obviously I never realized how much time that I take when I'm like getting high and stuff. But
I wasn't there. I just, this
right,
is
no,
the story I got.
we recorded. No, you hit the nail on the head. It really was just like that. And I remember getting offended because one of my bandmates had yelled at me for leaving drugs on the table. And I remember responding to him, "Why would I leave drugs behind?" Like that's where my mind was.
Yeah,
It wasn't about that. It was like I was so caught up and
Uh-huh.
I needed to get high. It's like everything like the morality that I had built up in myself, over the last 18 years, it didn't matter.
That's out the window.
It didn't matter when it came between me and my drug. It didn't matter. And so that was a huge wake up call. So that's
Kind of where we were in the story.
Yeah,
It was like
yeah.
your pivot point.
yeah, and
Right.
that was what sent me to my first rehab down in Stonington.
Okay.
And then to continue to try and because I was so upset that I wasn't playing music anymore.
Well, dude, I mean, you're a
Because
talented
at that
guy.
point in my life, like what I didn't share with I guess everybody else, for the like up to that point, my life was drums.
Mhm.
Like I started playing drums when I was 10. In high school, I played the snare drum in the marching band for 4 years straight. Like I was the section leader for 2 years. Like
So it's your life.
I did
Yeah.
I did like DCI. Yeah, like drumming was my life.
And then playing shows on the weekends too.
Oh,
I mean,
dude, that's
yeah.
from the time I was a freshman in high school until 2-3 years out of college. Like
Mhm.
that was it. Making music, recording music. That was what we ate, slept, and breathed.
That's how
dude.
you and I
Like,
became friends, honestly.
yeah,
I
it was
was
just
there
like
too.
that. Yeah, that scene, like it was such a close knit community
We
that
had a whole friend group
yeah,
that
absolutely.
we all were in bands.
Yeah, and that situation, like that instance right there, I felt separated me and drove me away from my life.
It was the place you felt safest, and you did not
Yeah.
feel safe.
Yeah, it was
Right.
gone.
Right.
I'm gonna get a little emotional here.
No, dude, it's okay. That's why we do this.
Yeah.
It's okay, and it was I can only imagine, and that's why we do this, so people can see that it's not you hear so many like stigmatic comments, like, oh, it was a choice, they're getting what they deserve, stuff like that. Like, these are people. Dennis is a good dude. You can tell, like, the guilt and the just the willingness, like, you wanted to get better.
I hated doing the bad things, like I didn't wake up every morning like, man, how can I
do fuck this
some
guy
dirty
over?
shit? Yeah,
Right,
how can
right. No,
I,
I know that.
I woke up like, how can I get high? And unfortunately, I found easy opportunities to make money. I was good at lying and talking my way out of situations, and I would always find a way to make something happen. But from that point on, I felt so alienated. I was like, I felt like I was doing a service to everyone else by leaving and going to Boston.
Right, and
And
that's
so-
a
and
classic.
That's where my
depressive thought.
recovery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I didn't
Classic.
realize, dude. I was in a really really dark place at that point.
Dude,
in
when
time.
I was suicidal, it was the same thing. Like,
Yeah,
the world is going to be better off without
Absolutely.
without me here. So where
And
do I
that was-
run to?
100%.
Right.
And was I shooting dope at that point? Yeah, I was. The big fucked up part about it is like when I started going to like detoxes and stuff and I tried to get clean, like I met the worst people in detox. Like the first detox I went into, I came out of knowing how to shoot up dope. Because originally I was just like I would just, sniff it. Like I didn't.
So most people I
was
know are
scared
like that.
of a needle. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's it's like going to rehab. I like got my, my first badge of honor sort of thing. Like, oh, I'm a real addict now, and I started learning, shooting up, and there just wasn't.
Go ahead. Sorry, I got a thought coming.
Yeah, absolutely. There just wasn't the resources that we have today. Back before
it's
the
gotten way better.
Opiate epidemic. This was like before the epidemic was declared.
Well, they talked about it, but you didn't really want to, kind of thing.
Like that fire dope that was killing people left and right. That's the shit we were chasing. You know, like before I left. Like I left and went to Boston, honestly, in the right time. A month after me leaving, I lost 4 people to overdoses. In I say my friend group, but like my shooting up group.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's kind of like interesting to look back. I've always made it out alive.
Was your family involved in
very involved? My family, 100%.
So talk about that, because obviously maybe you can speak to this too. There's people and I don't know what your family was like. I know Brendan last week, his family was really involved in like a positive way.
Yeah.
There are also negative aspects, so maybe you could speak about your experience, and then kind of maybe if you might have any advice for someone who doesn't have that.
Absolutely.
And that's a hard thing to answer.
It is tough. I'm going to be honest with you. I've always been very lucky in the fact that I do have a very supporting family. So when I needed help, they were like there with open arms, like we've been waiting for you. But when I was living in Boston, I was living in a home with 30 other guys. Not everyone came from the same, background.
Sure.
I met a lot of really good people, really interesting people who came, basically came up on their own. They didn't have anybody, to lean on, and unfortunately, it's going to take a lot more of the individual when you don't have that sort of innate support group. You're going to have to go to AA. You're going to have to go to maybe NA. You're going to need to go, honestly, you need some kind of community, be it NAAA. You need to surround yourself with people. You need to be accountable to people.
And you
can't do it on your own.
You need to be in a situation where you feel good about getting better, where you feel confident in taking those steps to getting there. And that's where I get hung up. I talk to people who have addicts in the family, and the family can be negative, because they don't know how to deal with it.
100%. Yeah.
So that's why I think the meetings and all that are so great, man.
I agree.
They're so great.
And and there are so many different avenues of meetings. If you're religious, there's a meeting for this different religion in terms of recovery. If you're not, there's a group that gets together that serves this purpose for that belief system.
Yeah, you can kind of just take what you want.
There's something for everybody now, which is so good. So I think the first thing to do is surround yourself with people who will hold you accountable. Because if we are not held accountable, honestly, idle time is the devil's playground. Something's gonna happen. Or I'm speaking from my own experience. Something has always happened to me if I have not had.
Why do you think that?
Community.
Is it boardom? Is it tough to be in your? Is it tough to be in your own?
Some of it's self-medicating. I have a lot of anxiety.
Sure. Yeah,
so
me too.
When I get high, I'm not anxious. Your brain just has a built-in forgetter. Honestly, 6 months go by after stopping using, and it's like, oh man, I'd love to get high, because you remember being high and like what that feels like, but you don't remember the shitty parts after.
Right.
So it's kind of like you also always need to I always need to keep myself in check every day. So like in terms of like when I'm doing like a daily inventory, or when I wake up, I'm always telling myself, today's just one day. I'm not going to use today. Don't bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah.
My sister, before she passed, she would always tell me, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
So you can't tackle this huge, daunting mountain of an issue without taking one step at a time. So that's just how I continue to keep myself clean today, is just by taking one moment at a time.
Are you still
and not getting myself in too much, because I get overwhelmed easily sometimes.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do. It's not just the addiction. I mean, there's reasons that there's an addiction too. You're dealing with death. You're dealing with anxiety or any other mental illness too. Like, I know for me, like, it was the perfect concoction of death in the family, stressful work environment, my own anxiety. I was just looking for an escape.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it was for me. It was just going to talk therapy and just having the tools to remind myself I'm not alone. There's groups for this. There's ways to doing this, and sticking to the program, man.
Yeah.
Sticking to the Are you a 12-step kind of guy, man?
So I'll be honest with you. Not as much as maybe I should be.
Because I know that's like it seems like most people I talk to are like 12-step people.
Which is interesting because my faith has a lot to do with my recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh yeah, and definitely talk about that.
The 12 steps help me, but going one step further, I learned in rehab that I just needed to surrender my will. Kind of like the big things in my life are out of my control anyway. So why am I going to worry about them? Was sort of like one big thing that I had to sort of like come to realize,
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I could sort of like give everything up to God and realize that He would have my back, it was just so much easier for me to open up and to move forward in my recovery. And even today, I don't go to as many meetings as I should now, and I don't go to church as much as I should now, but I have that relationship with my higher power to the point where I don't need to be in a building, or like I don't have to go to church on Sunday morning or whatever and stand up, sit down, and do all that stuff to know that I have a good relationship with my higher power.
And that's great, man.
That's
it's positive. It's a positive relationship with something that's not yourself.
Exactly, and it's something that is greater than myself.
Yeah, and it helps your relationship with yourself too.
It does,
right?
yes. So it's like it sort of ties into the 12 steps.
Sure.
I will say that I, do take a moral inventory, and I will say that I have tried to, make a list and, write all my wrongdoings, but I do it in sort of a biblical sense to the point where, like, when I'm praying, I will, think of all the things that I'm grateful for. I'll make like a gratuity list, sort of things like, why am I happy to be alive today? And I'll take sort of time out of my day to pray for other people, and doing that, it helps continue to like just breed an atmosphere of recovery in my life. So every day, like, I don't leave myself that opportunity to get high.
Yeah, it's meaning. It's meaning to be sober. And to be better. And I mean, the reason I go, say 12-step, and I almost kind of like rephrase things you say is because I know, number one, I'm not religious, but that has nothing to do with everyone here. I know there are a lot of people, our guest last week, he wasn't religious at all. He came out and said, but it's amazing how the two of you had so many similarities in your recovery and the things you tell yourself. So, I mean, it's all, again, this just goes back to, for you guys listening, it's unique to everybody. But it's about, finding things outside from yourself that make you feel good about you, whether it's church or it's a community of people. That can be both. Do you have, did you have a good church community?
And that's what I'll say is what I found that I liked in church was the music and the community.
Yeah.
So I went to this. It was a Christian program, but I've been playing drums my whole life.
And they had worship bands.
They saw me. They were like, this kid is a diamond in the rough. They were like, come play music with us. So that was kind of my introduction to the church. Was like, oh, I get to play drums with you guys. Yeah, hell yeah, let's do this. I made sure I had my double bass pedal up there on the worship team. Dude.
Yeah, dude, right?
I was all about it. I had such a blast. But in that space, just playing music and just kind of opening my my heart to God, is what I was doing.
Oh, dude. And that for you is huge. In a place
of freedom. Yeah, I was finally in a place of freedom.
And it's music. Like, I mean, we got emotional talking about how you lost that. I can only imagine. And I could see you light up talking about it. Like, that.
It was such a prodigal son moment for me.
Wow. I am so happy for you.
It really was. It was awesome. And so that, I didn't want to lose that. And so I will say, obviously, unfortunately, relapse is part of recovery. I've relapsed, if you realize, you just got to get it back on the horse again. It's
Yeah.
really what it
I
comes
mean,
down to.
what would you say to someone that's there?
Honestly, don't condemn yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I would always do is I would wallow in my shame and my regret, and I would condemn myself, and I'd say, oh, I'm never gonna amount to anything. Fuck it, I'm just gonna get high again.
Yeah, because you are your thoughts, right? The
100%.
the negative
What
is
you
going to bring
say,
negative.
what you hear, what you believe. It's
Right.
like, so. It's interesting. My mom would always tell me to like put like a sticky note of like 5 things that I'm good at, or like 5 reasons, that I'm grateful, and I should wake up and like, recite these things to myself, and so I would say to someone who, maybe just relapsed and, thinks that they're not worth anything, I would tell them that they are worth something.
Yeah.
We're, we all have the ability to get back up, and we're all so resilient, just don't give up. Just don't give up.
And the more you share it, like
Yeah,
we're doing here,
there's
you're gonna find, yourself. The world is really just a mirror of who we are. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna find people just like you.
Yeah.
Who are
You're
gonna
only
who
as
are gonna be
alone
there.
as you make yourself, really.
Uh-huh.
And that I learned that.
Mhm.
It wasn't. Yeah.
It's
A lot
kind
of
of
work.
hard being gamers,
A lot of work,
though. Like
Yeah,
we like
yeah.
being alone.
We like to be introverted, which is so funny because before I was such like a social butterfly, and
Mhm.
now I feel like I've become so almost introverted.
Well, yeah, because you learn to get comfortable with yourself. And dude, same
Yeah.
thing with me. Like before
Yeah.
I got my depressive episodes and became suicidal and got into therapy, I was like the most social person ever. And like
Yeah,
I mean, you know what I was like. I was
Oh
still
hell yeah.
I was still kind of like that. I'm still kind of like that anyway, but I am so good on my own now.
Right.
Like I can
Now,
get there.
yeah. It was almost like I used to find my identity in the people I surrounded myself with.
Right. Yes.
Yes, I've in recovery I've found my own identity.
Mhm.
I know who I am now today.
Well, and that goes back to feeling better about getting better.
Yeah,
Is you know you're capable of greatness, or just even basic things like love and happiness. Like
yeah.
we're all capable of it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
And so and
Let me just make sure I'm seeing it up again on the Twitch channel.
looks like you're going. Yeah, I see the ad.
Hey guys, sorry about that. I'm not really sure what happened. It happens. Things happen. The internet. We rely on this thing that doesn't really exist.
Right.
but,
It's slightly terrifying.
But it's slightly terrifying. So sorry. We were just talking about, reminding yourself, that you can get through it. Pain is temporary. And I was going to ask you, like you said, you relapsed. But you can talk about your first experience with rehab, what it was like, in there, because I feel like people are afraid of what it is. So like if we can give them the firsthand account of what, day one is like.
Yeah. Well, so for me, I've been to jail. I've been to county. I've been locked up. So rehab wasn't like a super scary experience for me, but it was scary in the sense that it was a place that I had to be vulnerable. I was now in a place where I had to rely on somebody for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was in a place where I had to ask for everything. If I wanted to use the restroom, I had to ask. If I wanted to get a drink of water, I had to ask. And if I was ever asked to do anything, the answer always had to be yes and amen. So it was like I was in a place where I hated my environment.
Yeah, so it almost felt like probably jail for you.
It did. It felt because especially as an addict, like you do what you want when you want, how you want to do it, and everything's on your time. So it was a complete, coin flip of my past situation to what my current situation was, and in that sort of like that friction, like that struggle to like sort of find my place in that new sort of it's almost like an ecosystem that you sort of fall into, because people are cliquey, and this big guy kind of runs the house, and it, some people have money and some don't, so like people are always like you're always playing games, cards, dominoes, there's like everyone's always gambling for shit, so it's like you kind of have to sort of find where you fit in.
Adapt.
Yeah, it's that's a very good word for what I had to do, because I'll be honest with you, coming from a mostly white suburban town in Connecticut
Dude, I
to
can
now living in the middle of Dorchester, Boston, which
That's where
is
you are now?
predominant. That's where I'm back in Connecticut. I'm
okay.
living in Manchester now. But when I went to rehab, I was right off Dorchester Avenue in downtown Boston. So it was like I'm now living basically in the hood.
Mhm.
You hear gunshots at night, you'd wake up and you'd see shell casings on the sidewalk, walking from one house to the other. So it was a little bit of a different environment for me.
No kidding. No
but
kidding.
that's how I grew up, that's what made me have to become an adult, sort of thing. Like, it's like very quickly, like I could no longer rely on mommy for everything. I couldn't call daddy to come bail me out of jail again.
It's cushy.
Like,
I know, dude. I
oh
was
my
the next
God, I
town
lived
over,
in
I
a
know.
bubble, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like I now I had to kind of be a man. So there were a lot of growing pains in that sort of situation, but it was honestly the best thing I ever did. Going to rehab was the 100% the best choice I ever made for my life.
Mhm.
And
so you got out the first time.
it's scary though. Yeah. So the way this program worked is you'd
I'm just trying to keep a timeline.
do 15 months. Yeah. So you would so from 2013 to the end to February of 2015, I think 13, 14. Yeah. February 2015 is when I graduated for the first time. Yeah, I ended up staying in Boston, living in Boston as sort of like a house manager sort of thing. You could like live in the city and they'd pay you like a small stipend, but most of your thing, like everything was kind of taken care of, like food and board or whatever. So I did that for about 6 months. And then I thought it would be a good idea. I wanted to go back to school. I wanted to go back to college. So I thought it would be a great idea if I left and went to live with one of the girls from the other. There were like different campuses as part of this program.
Okay.
So I went to a program called Teen Challenge. It started in New York, but it's an international program. It's kind of one of the only. It's very similar to the Salvation Army, but it doesn't get any state or government funding. It's like a totally fully self-supportive. I don't know if Salvation Army is a similar way, but
like a religious backing.
Yeah, it's a Christian program. Yep.
Yeah.
So they basically replace like 12-step in the big book with the Bible. It's just honestly the easiest way to sort of put it. You do all of the other similar things. They have like a thrift store and different like sites that you can work at, and you kind of do like 2/3 of it is like rehabilitation, and the last third is sort of like reintegration into society, sort of thing. So you go out and you like either work on a storefront. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Learning how to live again.
100%.
And in like a normal setting.
Yeah. And so at this point, I was in like the aftercare phase where you still live on campus, but you are more or less kind of a member of society. You still have to check in and you have to be home by curfew, but from 7 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night, you can be out working, doing whatever, and then if some people end up staying and working there for longer, but I was at a point where I was like, I wanted to get out. I wanted to get out. Yeah. I was like, I have all this time I have to make up for. I was still very young.
That's a thing when you're young. You feel like you're gonna die soon for whatever reason. Like, I've been around for 20 years. Are you crazy? Like, I need to do everything.
100%.
Then as you get older, you're like, this shit is not a race. Like,
Dude, it's so true.
We can figure it out.
Yeah, it's so true. Because I just remember feeling like I lost the last year and a half. Like, I got to make up for it, and before that, I kind of screwed up college. So I was like, I got to make up for that time. And, I got all this time I got to make up for. So without even like thinking, I just figured it would be a great idea if I went back to college and then moved in with a girl that I barely knew. And what could go wrong, really, I just spent a year and a half in a Christian program, so clearly, there's no girls in this program, so it's like it was a recipe for disaster looking back.
Mm-hmm.
And that is eventually what led to my kind of first relapse in Boston. It was a very quick bounce back.
So you weren't home when it happened?
No, I stayed in Boston. I was going to go to Framingham State University. So I moved from downtown Boston to a town right outside of Framingham, which is like 30 minutes west of the city. So it's still it was very city like.
Oh yeah, I have buddies. Yeah, I have friends
Cool.
that live up there.
Very cool.
Like Somerville.
Yeah.
Watertown, like that type. It's very much the city still.
Yeah,
People,
still very
they
city.
say I live in Boston.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you can go down to the corner store, you go to the bodega, and someone's gonna offer you dope. That's kind of like where we were living, So, and right out of rehab, so it didn't take me long to eventually relapse. Maybe 2 weeks.
How did that happen? How?
It was. I was working. I fell back on what I knew. I got a job at a restaurant, and so I was making a bunch of cash. The girl I was staying with, she was working for this call center downtown in Framingham, and one of her friends just happened to be like, here's some Percocets. Some of they were like the whatever Roxycodone, and that just started everything right back. It was just kind of like rinse and repeat, because that's where it all started for me anyway. Where those
you said it was
30s.
2 weeks, so
yeah, 2 weeks.
It was that quick. You were dependent on
Yeah.
it. See, that
Well,
just
so
goes
what
to
had
show you how
happened
strong this shit is, man.
It's crazy. So it's actually insane. I remember I came home from work. I had this big internal discussion with myself. I didn't call anybody, of course. I didn't actually reach out. I had all these tools that I could have, made use of that I just left holstered for the most part. So I eventually, I was like, everyone else is doing it. I can do it one time. Not a big deal.
Right.
So, but now we have this discussion of how are we going to do this? Am I going to sniff this or am I going to shoot this? Because if I'm going to get high, I might as well do what I want to do.
Yeah, you want
I'm
to
not
get
gonna.
it all.
I want full value.
Right.
And let me know if I get too much. You know
the
what I mean?
whole point of this.
Because what's crazy is this is all very. It wasn't a big deal to me. I would shoot up in my car with my seatbelt while I was driving somewhere. You know what I mean? It was such a part of my life.
We want to show
not
people
everybody
what it is.
feels
man.
the same. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't want to be grotesque.
No.
So let me know if you tone it down.
You do your thing, man.
Awesome. Cool.
I trust you.
Yeah. So I had this. This is what it came down to. So I break the pill in half. I sniff half of it. Have a nice night. Wake up. I end up shooting the other half. That was the big mistake. Was reintroducing that into my life.
Well, it's immediately right when you shoot it. It's
it literally feels like all the air is being sucked out of your lungs, and then it's just like kind of like you go Super Saiyan after that. It feels good. It's like a wash. Oh, it feels amazing. Yeah, it's a very So that's what you get addicted to, or I was addicted to, was that chase. So
chasing the dragon.
Yeah, that I was off to the races right after that.
Gotcha.
I was driving an hour to go back to Connecticut to see my dealer, and then I was driving 30 minutes to Boston to see my dealer if my other dealer wasn't around.
Was it your same guy from before in Connecticut?
From before in Connecticut, yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, yep. And then I met a new connect in Boston, but I wasn't from Boston,
So it's everywhere. I mean, that's the thing
yeah.
I think we got to point out too. Is
we live in an area. This is the prime spot for any sort of cocaine, heroin,
hard drugs.
Yeah, it's like because it all comes in from Boston, New York, whatever, over
You
the
got all the
sea.
college kids up there and
Exactly,
everything.
all the college kids, and it makes its way west past us first.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the best drugs with the least cut for the best price. So it's like I'm not surprised when I see the numbers for however many people are addicted to this
Right.
shit in New England. It's so readily available.
It's
It's everywhere.
everywhere, and we're
It's
not
everywhere.
educated correctly. Like they
No.
don't, like they'll tell you it's bad, you'll die if you use it. But that the same story. But they don't tell you
Yeah.
how to deal with it when they
Right.
say drugs are bad, but they don't say what to do when they're bad.
Yeah. They don't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like. Yeah. I do. It's kind of like the iceberg. It's like there's so much more to drugs being bad, and they're just like they just tell us no. All you're doing is making me want to try this more. Like
Right.
why is it so bad?
They don't
And
have any
so-
problem talking about sex with us, man. I
Right.
remember our health teacher in high school told us that she liked anal sex, and we were like, "This is too much."
Like, what did I sign up for?
But in
Classes.
gruesome detail. But
Nice.
you can't tell us about what happens with
Right.
heroin.
Drugs are too taboo, though. Yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It was something you just didn't talk about. It was hush hush. Someone in a family has a problem, you don't talk about it. And it's unfortunate because it still goes on today. Like I still know people who, are alcoholics or addicts, and the family just doesn't talk about it. They continue to enable and sort
Well,
of make excuses for the
shame.
individual.
The
Yeah.
the person that's using in the family is ashamed, and then the family finds out and they're ashamed because they think people are going to judge them,
Or they blame themselves.
or that what
The
did I
family,
do wrong as a parent,
mom
and then
says, yeah.
they go down their own rabbit hole.
Yep. And then
And
it's like,
really everybody just needs to talk about it.
yeah.
And you could do like what we do. It's a community thing. But I always tell people, like, there's places you can go.
Oh, yeah.
You don't need a ton of money. They'll set
And
you up on
24 hours
on
a
a
day,
sliding
too.
sliding scale or whatever, however it is. Like, it's just we have to keep doing stuff like this and make people feel better about it.
Yeah. The best thing about where I went as a program is it was free for me. Like I didn't pay $1. My mother now she donates to this program monthly, but it was a sort of a thing where I could have no money to my name, and they would still take me in and clothe me and feed me and let me live there for 15 months out of whatever it takes me to graduate from this program.
So how did they fund that,
Because-
though?
So it's basically when you are a student, you fundraise. So
Uh-huh.
you'll go out, and I'm sure it's kind of like Girl Scouts. You like go out and you stand in front of a storefront,
Good analogy.
like a grocery store or whatever, and you just take donations. You give out. Honestly, it's called a drug awareness team.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really going out into the community to raise awareness, and sort of like
Which is so
give
important.
literature and just give resources because
They don't
so
teach
many
us.
people we
we don't
know
know.
somebody, or like have a family member or have a friend or have a friend of a friend, so we go out and we just offer this resources for the community, and then take donations in response. And so through doing that, and through there are other fundraising sort of ventures that they have. I was part of like our worship team. So every Sunday we'd go around to like a different church, and we'd sort of play music and then give testimony to how basically how God saved us, how he changed our lives. And by doing that, we'd get people to sponsor students to sort of fund them through the program, and so we're able to essentially just self-sustain
So
the
positive,
program,
man.
and get like a lot of the food and clothes are donated, so it's because of the community. Like Teen Challenge has done a good enough job to sort of establish themselves in the community to where they have enough resources coming in
Right.
to be able to stay afloat.
You said it's
even
international,
now through
right?
it is
Yeah,
international
okay.
now. God, it started back in the 60s, I want to say.
You'll have to send me some info so we can
Definitely. Oh,
send it
heck
to
yeah.
everyone. Yeah.
It's so there's a book. It's called The Cross and the Switchblade. that it's like an old book, and there's like a movie. But it tells the story of how the founder, this gentleman David Wilkerson, started Teen Challenge. So it's kind of a cool story. It's an old '80s movie.
Hey, man, that's great. I just think like this whole thing, you know, we kind of talked about it already, but this awareness, like the real conversation, it's so important, man, because
Yeah.
we're not taught. We're just not. We're
Yeah.
just not. And
No,
it's where we're left to our own vices or our own way of figuring things out. So we have these college kids or whatever, with the mindset, well, my buddy did it and he's fine, so how bad can it be?
Right.
I had that mindset when I was doing
Oh,
coke and stuff with people. I was like, he's
100%,
fine.
dude.
I'm gonna be fine.
Right. I'll just do a little line. I'll do a little at a time.
And next thing you know, you're buying an 8-ball, and it's like,
Yep.
oh my god.
How did I get here? Well,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I'm here now. Yeah. It's for it's yeah. It's like a snowball. It just it starts small, and before you know, it's out of control.
So you got back into it, and
Yeah.
you were able to. Was it your family that helped you get back? Were you able to do that
So
on your own?
yeah, it was I was out for like 2 months, and then quickly it was kind of shitty because I had like enrolled in college, I had like signed up for classes,
Yeah, your
I
whole
had spent a
life
bunch
was
of money,
messed up now.
and now I'm all fucked up because I have like I have an apartment in the dorm, and then I'm like living in this house with this girl, and then I'm also trying to work to make money to continue to pay for my habit, and then also go to school, and then now I'm skipping class, and I'm like, why am I paying for classes when I'm just going to do this whole fucking thing over again?
Mhm.
It was sort of like I just woke up and I was like, what am I fucking doing?
Mhm.
And so I dropped out of college again, and I went back to Teen Challenge, and I did what's referred to as like a what do they call it? It's basically half time. So
Mhm.
instead of 15 months, it was 7 months for me, and so I did that, and that was I think where the most of my growth happened was after because when I was in the program the first time, I was kind of like a golden egg for them. I was able to speak well in front of congregations, and I was
But
able
you speak well
to,
anyway, dude. That's
yeah,
why
you know what I
the
mean?
reason I was stoked to get you on.
So
here.
they would kind of parade me around a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
It was kind of like listen to Dennis talk, and I would do sort of the fundraiser speeches, and I would get people to like subscribe to like sponsor students, and so I had a bit of an ego built up. And so this is where a lot of that ego deflation happened. I kind of came back to earth a little bit, and
Need it
I was kind of
sometimes.
and it happened because I like evaded death probably 2 or 3 times while I was out for those like 2 months. I remember one time I nodded off driving, and it was raining, and I ended up like just driving through a busy intersection and
Jeez.
waking up and like being barely missing like a car. I had sort of locked the door to get high because I didn't want people to know what I was doing. I was like, trying to do more than whoever I was sharing these drugs with, and I ended up, basically overdosing. Waking up 2 hours later with a needle in my arm. And so like through these very, I don't know, they're just scary life events. I don't,
You think you
it's kind of
almost
like
scared yourself into getting
I
better?
scared myself. Yeah, I think I did scare myself straight a little bit, just enough for me to be like, but it kind of put things into a different perspective for me. I was getting to the point now where I was like, maybe I'm not invincible.
Yeah.
Maybe something bad could actually happen to
That's
me.
what happens in your 20s, man. Do we all?
Yeah,
we all go through it.
because I was like 24, 25 at this time. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, 25. I was 25. And so that kind of woke me up to like, all right, I need to like play this game a little bit smarter. I only have one life here. I don't
Mhm.
want to waste it. And so I straightened myself up. I went back to the program. I was there for like another year or so. I did sort of the house mentorship piece of it again. And then toward the end of, or no, I say the middle of 2016, just 16 or 17. And either way, I met another girl. So for me, my relapses always happen because of girls. It's like it just happens that way, you know.
Dude, I can relate. And
It's just
with different experience.
yeah.
It's hard, dude. Breakups are hard.
Yeah, and it wasn't. I see. For me, I would just pick the wrong female, and then
Me too.
anxiety and living situations would drive me to use, you know,
Yep.
or she would just be a partier, and so I would have to use. I wouldn't have to use, but it would enable me to use, you know. So it was sort of a similar situation. It was a little bit of a longer, drawn out situation.
And that's a whole other part that you have
Yeah.
to learn about yourself is who's good for you.
Yeah, 100%. And I learned a lot of things about myself and about the reasons of why I used in the first place from going through these shitty relationships, honestly, you know. So I ended up moving back home basically because it was like either choose her or the program, and I chose her. So I moved back home, you know.
I've done it.
She's from Springfield, and I decided I moved back, you know, to Vernon, and we ended up getting a place together. We got an apartment together, and mind you, she's only like 21. She's like just little
Figuring out the world still.
yeah, she's and she's 5 foot nothing, tattooed from head to foot, and just like a little spitfire. You know, it was not like I had I could have picked someone better. You know what I mean? She just didn't know. She didn't. I wasn't like a healthy relationship from the beginning.
And dude, it's like I know for me, a lot of the reason I picked the wrong people was just because it was like somebody likes me. Like that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because
100%.
I had gotten so low so many
That's so
times.
funny you say that. Yeah.
And this we could do an entire episode on this.
Yeah.
It's you get to a point where you realize who you are, and that it doesn't matter if someone likes you. It doesn't. It doesn't mean they're good for you.
Right. And 100% was.
But you feel good, so you get
Yeah.
wrapped up in that.
Right. And you don't, because you want to feel good.
That's it.
It was I was always chasing feeling good.
All the time. I can relate,
because
man.
God forbid I didn't feel good, for whatever reason. And it was something just like that. It was, I had like discovered Tinder for the first time.
Dude, war zone.
And oh God, dude, it's the first and only time. But it was just, I liked the attention, and then it turned into a relationship, and then next thing I knew, I was, we had gone through like a rough breakup. She cheated on me, whatever, left me with like this apartment that I had to pay for, and I was working downtown. I was working for a finer dining restaurant downtown, so I was able to like pay for all this. But because of the turn of events, like I kind of snapped a little bit, I relapsed again. And that was the summer of like 2016 or 17, something like that. And I ended up, in this time period, like going to pick up drugs from somebody, and then that location was being, like watched.
Oh,
and so
geez.
I got pulled over, and I had like, I had like 3 bundles of dope on me, and so I ended up like getting locked up for that, and I had to like go through the whole legal process for that. Luckily, at that point in time, like they had passed some laws to where me being caught with the dope and being like, I worked well with the cops. Like I didn't have to narc or do anything crazy, but I was just I was just compliant to whatever they were asking, so they didn't throw the book at me or anything.
Good.
So I was able to like do all the whatever the stuff you have to do for court, and like I got it off my record. I'm pretty sure.
I'm glad to hear that, man.
Yeah, but that was like that. I think was another point in time in my life where I was like, dude, I'm gonna be one of these like washed up rehab guys who's 45 and still hasn't gotten it right, because when I was living in Boston, there were a lot of older guys who were in their 50s and 60s who were like, listen, if you don't get it straight now, you're gonna end up like me. So this is when I was like, man, maybe I really am gonna end up like that. Like what am I doing? Like why am I letting my emotions like dictate my actions? Why am I letting myself be controlled by, something other than me? Like why
Right.
am I allowing this to happen?
Now,
It was kind of like,
do you think it was like do you think it was purely the dope, or do you think it was the lifestyle, or both? You
that's
know,
a good question.
because I think that those all can
Yeah,
be true. That I don't think there's a right
yeah,
answer. You hear a lot of times like the drug is so strong, like I
yeah,
literally can't control it. And then you also hear, like we talked about, it's like, I was around bad people.
yeah.
And
I
it
think
takes bad situations to.
yeah, I think I almost chased bad situations. Like I
Mhm.
was almost addicted to putting myself into shitty spots.
Why do you think that is?
You know, because I have shitty low self-esteem and
Yep.
I like to self-sabotage and
Or
I've
you're like,
always
oh, I knew this was gonna happen anyway, so
right
whatever.
and exactly so fuck it and
Did the same thing.
and I've always come from a point of view. Well, I was like, if someone's gonna suffer, it should be me.
Hmm.
At least somebody deserves to suffer. I deserve to suffer.
It's all self
You know,
worth, man.
it was
It's a huge part
it
of it.
was exactly. I didn't, and I had no self worth. You
Hmm.
know, despite the things that I would like say to people and how I would present myself, because I knew how to put on a mask. I was very good at
Dude,
adapting
you've
and
always been
being
a
like a
talker, man.
chameleon. Oh yeah,
Always.
and I could always I knew what people want to hear,
Hmm.
and I would always tell you what you wanted to hear and do the song and dance.
Especially
And
family
then,
too, because
oh
you
yeah,
learn how to do that young, how to act in front of
how
certain
to
family
hustle them.
members.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
you know what they want to hear, and so I was that person for so long, and by that time in my life, I was just exhausted by it.
You don't want
You
to be
know,
that person
I
anymore.
was like, dude, I was like, this needs to stop. I was like, I need to get my shit together. Like, I just couldn't physically do it anymore. Like, I was just done.
It's a
You
heavy
know,
burden to carry, man.
oh, it really was. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, now I'm kind of getting older. Like, this relationship didn't work out. Like,
Hmm.
and I've always wanted to be in, have a wife and get married and do all those things. My grandparents were married for 54 years.
Yeah,
So
it's
that was
crazy.
that's
Yeah.
crazy. And I've always been, I would love to, celebrate a 50th wedding anniversary. That would be crazy. Um, so all of these things are like sort of coming to me at this time in my life where I'm, at 26. I'm like, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm an
Hmm.
adult. Like, what am I doing? Why am I
Well, you
acting this
realize
way?
you deserve it too.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
and I think definitely it
and
was
that's a
kind of
huge
like
step.
right finding that sort of glimmer of hope enough to be like, you know what, I should be happy.
Hmm.
Like why can't I be happy? Um, and so
So you went back.
yeah, so I was living at home. I didn't go to like rehab or anything at this point in time. I was able to like get myself clean,
Hmm.
um, kind of clean.
Well,
I
you
was like
learned a
taking,
lot.
yeah. So I was just like in like a weird. This is like I was in like limbo almost.
Hmm.
This is when I had just, and now this is where I'm starting to work at Bonefish,
So
because
that's when I saw. That's when I saw you.
yeah. So I was honestly, I was like kind of like this, like when I
Hmm.
was working at Bonefish, like one week I'd be clean, and then one week I'd use, and then 2 weeks would go by and I'd be clean, and then
You
three
were
weeks
good
would
when
go
I saw
by
you. I
and
was
I
like,
would
holy
use.
shit! Like I saw the life in you. You
Yeah,
look like you do now.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
and well, so because Bonefish closed,
Yeah, I
um,
know. I was bummed about that actually.
and right around like before that time, um, yeah, that's kind of like when like the using started to happen again,
Hmm.
because that's like when Bonefish closed is when I went through that breakup. Is then when I got the job downtown. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
how that works. Um, and then so I left that relationship, and I sort of cleaned myself up after this. Um, and then I started. I went to, yeah, that's when I started. I worked at Camille's after that, and I stayed sober for a good while because after I worked at Camille's, I sort of reached out to a friend of mine who worked at Bonefish with me, um, and she got me a job downtown working for
Hmm.
another restaurant. Um, I'm not gonna say where I was working just
No,
for the
don't.
sake of.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. And so I was single at this time. Um, and it's interesting because the girl that got me the job is now my girlfriend. Um,
Nice.
yeah, and
You've been with her for a while now.
yeah, Courtney and I have been together for going on 3 years. We've
It's
been
amazing.
living together. It's oh my God. See, this is like my pivoting moment. You know what I mean? Because this kind of gave me a little bit of hope. Because like I started working at Republic. Um, I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, I started working at this restaurant downtown.
I'll try to mute it out
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah. So I started working at this restaurant. Um, I'm feeling healthy and I'm feeling good, but through doing all this, it's like I was starting to feel good about myself. I wasn't in this um, like state of like being like super depressed all the time. I was starting to talk to people. I was starting to open up. I was going to meetings. This is like where AA and NA really sort of started for me, like big time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I was, just doing good. I was, working real hard. I'm trying to think. I stayed. It's tough. It was honestly tough because working in the restaurant industry, drugs and alcohol it's just part of it.
Booze that's probably everybody drinks.
And this is where like I was kind of drinking all the way through this whole thing. I never thought I had an issue with alcohol. I was like, whatever, I can drink. I'm an addict though, sort of thing. It's like I would go out and I would get wasted still on the weekends.
Yeah, and then you realize you work at a restaurant and you drink every night when you get out, and it's like, hold on a second.
You drink like, oh yeah, if you're not drinking before you get out, as soon as you get out, you're having that shift drink.
Yeah.
And then if your favorite people are working, someone probably has a bag of Coke in their pocket, so you're probably doing some Coke in the bathroom, and it's just this was sort of the environment that I found myself, and I had kind of put a little weight on, and I felt good. I felt good about myself at this point in time. So,
but you must have saw red flags on them, and like,
Yeah, I did, but I was like, oh, I just can't do dope.
Gotcha.
This whole time I'm just like, I can't do dope. I can do this, this, and this, but I can't do dope. And so for some reason, everything else was like fair game, but I just couldn't do dope. Because my mind was in a point where I thought heroin was the enemy.
Yep.
I still didn't realize.
You're not wrong.
Right.
Wrong.
Oh yeah, it definitely is the enemy. But I just hadn't realized or just come to a point where I accepted the fact that I just need to abstain.
Yeah, and that's loving yourself, and that's where the good stuff is gonna come.
Right. And so what I had to eventually realize is that I don't need to take a substance or feel some kind of extra euphoria to be who I am, and to like that person, because for so long if I was gonna go out anywhere, I'd have to make sure I got high right before I left, because then I'd be in a good mood and I would be, the life of the party that everybody wanted to see.
Well, yeah, and you want to be, especially with alcohol, like you want to have a beer with everybody too, like you want to be a part of the crew.
Yeah, you don't want to feel, sort of left out. So like trying to live a clean and sober life while also, drinking and doing coke on the weekends just didn't work.
Yeah, it's gotta be a total lifestyle change.
Oh yeah, it was actually, I had sort of another wake up call. I was up all night, doing a whole bunch of coke, and I did what I felt was like too much, to the point where I'm like, am I gonna go out? Do I need fresh air? Like I'm like starting to freak out. Like my anxiety's going. I'm just like jacked up, geeked up on coke.
Coke will do that.
You know what I mean? And so like it was just like a very distinct moment in time that I remember still to this day, where I was like, I'm gonna fucking die.
Mm-hmm.
It is like it's no longer is it if, but when.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna kill myself. And that was kind of it, From then on, it was just I stopped everything.
Stop.
I stopped drinking. I didn't do coke. I didn't do any more coke. I hadn't been doing the dope, so that was way on the back burner. That wasn't even a problem for me anymore. or I wasn't thinking about that. I was so caught up in my drinking and, doing all this coke that, it was almost like I let my guard down there a little bit, and that will end up sort of manifesting itself later. Because after this point in time, I was doing super good. I was like super clean. Um, I ended up starting a new relationship. So I was feeling really, really good about that. And I didn't have a reason to use, and I ended up, moving in with my girlfriend, and everything was super fine and dandy. And then one day, a friend of mine overdosed, and he was more than a friend.
Yeah.
Mike, he did my intake in Boston, so he was sort of the guy who brought me around and sort of showed me Boston. He was like the older brother I never had.
Sure, man.
And so just going to his funeral and seeing that, and seeing someone who was, because he was working at Mass General as a recovery coach. He had gone through school. I would help him write papers. Like he went through and got his LADAC, which is a licensed alcohol and drug counselor for Massachusetts. And to see someone who ate, slept, and breathed recovery, like lose his fight to this illness, it broke me a little bit.
I had a similar last year. I lost a friend to an overdose, and it was kind of different. Like, we didn't even know it was a problem until he was gone.
Until you're at the funeral.
And I'm at the funeral, and I'm looking at, he was cremated. I'm just looking at his picture and like talking to his family, and I'm like, this could be anybody. But I also want to say, you said he lost his fight. I want to tell people like who have lost someone, it's nothing to be ashamed of either. It doesn't mean that they weren't that they're not a good person. They're not suffering anymore. This is just something in our society that we need to work together and make it better for everybody. And I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry you lost someone. I feel like we're at a point where it's like no matter who you talk to, we all have a story.
And what's crazy is like I lost a lot of people. I've lost a lot of friends.
Yeah.
But this hit different.
Well, yeah, he was a big part in your recovery.
This is kind of like this shook me, and so, and I had also lost like someone else from rehab who was also very close to my age. Also overdosed twice. First time he made it, the second time he didn't. And he OD'd the first time, and then 2 days later he was dead from a second overdose, sort of thing. Like, so like, and these were people who were like, they were not just my roommates, but like those are my brothers. Like you live in, because like our bunks were set up like this. I was here, Mike was here. It's like I wake up and I have to see his ugly face every morning. It was just to like think that he's not on this earth anymore was just, that's
hard. That's really like, tough, man.
Really shook me to the core.
I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's tough. What do you think? And I'm just curious again. I keep asking questions and there's no right answer.
No,
to, but
by all means.
What do you think you could attribute it to? We got someone who is on the upswing, active in the community, and I think it goes back to how strong this shit is.
Yeah.
Do you think that it
comes down to the fact that I don't know. I can only speak for myself, but like when
that's okay.
Big things happen in my life, it's easier for me to run away from them than
it's
it
what
is
you
to
know.
face
It's what you
them
know.
head on. And it's what I know, and it's easy to make myself. I know that I can make myself just feel better by doing this. And to my knowledge, something happened to him in his own personal life that was sort of his fork in the road. Which way am I going to go? And he went the wrong way, and after using a few times, did too much, and it cost him his life.
It's and it just keeps bringing me back to that part. It's where this is something that's got to start when we're little, when we're kids.
Oh, 1,000%.
As to what this is, what it means for our society, and how we need to treat people who are suffering from addiction, and not just people that are addicted, the families that are dealing with it too, because I'm sure the trauma that comes,
harder.
yeah, the trauma that the family has to sort of carry, that's awful, you know. And we just got to get better. And I don't have I'm not a doctor. I'm just a dude that comes on here.
We just got to talk. We got to talk more about it.
And that's kind of where I'm at with it, is like, it's just like, stuff we need to talk about, man.
Yeah. It's no longer like we can't be silent anymore.
No, we
people's
can't.
lives are at risk at this point. Like every day, I'm sure there's a statistic that will, prove my point, but like we're literally losing someone every day to this disease.
It's 1 in 4 people, or 1 in 5, have some sort of mental health crisis in their life.
Yeah,
whether
that's
it's addiction,
insane.
whether it's suicide, whether it's bipolar, anxiety, or anything.
Different seats on the Titanic.
I know a lot more about the suicide side of it, because that was kind of like my experience.
Yeah.
And I know it's like 800,000 people a year or something.
That's insane. It's too many.
It's too many. And I mean, that's maybe something I can get better at on here, is getting numbers out to you guys.
Yeah.
Because numbers don't lie, man.
Yeah.
And just the fact that you and I can sit here and like we both have like real stories about this crisis, and he's not the only one. My friend Anthony, he wasn't the only one that I know that overdosed. He was just the most recent one. Everybody knows someone, and these are people with dreams and hobbies and families, and we got to figure it out, man.
Yeah.
We got to figure it out. But you're doing good now. Why don't we?
Oh yeah.
Why don't we swing it up?
So,
let's talk about. Let's talk about where you're at now. I mean, I kind of watch from Facebook, but you and I haven't been able to chill and like talk about what you're doing now.
God, COVID-19 has been.
I know it's been
a
tough.
heck of an experience.
It's been tough.
Because this was all like leading up to like essentially where I just left off. This is probably like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because after all that, I've honestly, I don't really keep track of the days.
You've been
anymore.
good for a while.
One day at a time.
As far as I've seen.
Yeah, as long as I can remember, it's been at least probably 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong somewhere. Courtney would probably know better than I would.
Sober for 2 years?
I think, yeah.
Nice,
I would have
man.
to like go back and check it. It could be a year and a half. It could be closer to a year, but it's somewhere between 1 and 2 years.
I hope you're proud. I hope
it feels good. It feels good. It really does feel good. And some days are easier than others. It's because it's still an everyday battle for me. Like this is not the most time that I've ever had at one point in time.
Sure.
But it feels different right now. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm really on the up right now.
Dude, we're active.
Like my mindset,
active.
Yeah, exactly. And that's for me what keeps me clean is being active. And when I see someone, needing, who's reaching out, I reach my hand back. I have 2 or 3 people who, from my being active on social media and posting about my recovery, have reached out to me and said, "Oh, I'm struggling. What can I do?"
Dude, me too.
Can I call you? Absolutely. You calling me helps me stay clean, helps me recover.
Right.
It really is like it really works that way. Like, and so now, so I'm currently I'm not working. I was working at. I was bartending, but I'm at a point now where I want to get out of the industry.
Yeah, I'm kind of there too. I'm just doing it to get by at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it's
you got to
easy.
pay your bills, man.
Exactly. You gotta
pay your bills.
You gotta live. You gotta make money. But I've been taking this time to sort of. I want to switch gears and go into the IT side of things. I'd like to, I guess eventually work in cybersecurity. That's like
you've always been into computers.
Penultimate goal. Oh yeah, from a young age, and this is where like now today, like I'm on my computer 24, like pretty much 24/7. Like this is.
You can do everything.
If I'm studying, exactly, seriously, like
everything.
So connected, and I think I got a new PC because I had been without a computer for years. Like the whole time that I was up in Boston, I came back. I didn't get like a serious PC until like 2 years ago.
Mhm.
You know,
I just
but
got mine.
now
I
it's
love
like,
mine.
oh my God, I don't know how I lived without it, dude. You know, like, well, because now it's like
Listen to these
gaming.
millennials here.
Yeah. You know, dude. But it's like, now though, my gaming and Discord and those communities are so a part of my everyday.
It's
Like
amazing.
I'm so connected because of Discord and because of other services, because of World of Warcraft. Like,
Yeah.
and that helps me. It keeps me clean. Like I know that I am sort of relied on because I fill a certain role in my guild in World of Warcraft.
Yeah, talk a little bit about
If I'm not,
about WoW,
oh
too.
yeah, I'm gonna
Please.
get. This is where because
I'm gonna
WoW
I'm
keeps
gonna
me
do it.
clean, dude. WoW keeps me
Good.
sober.
Good.
Like because there would be times in my life where I would be playing WoW, and I'd be high, and I would nod or whatever, and I was just like, I'm no good to anybody if I'm using.
Yeah.
I've always been super competitive.
Dude,
so
you've
when
been. Like I said, we used to rank on your ass.
Oh, yeah.
When we were young, because
I'd be yelling.
we're like,
and,
we're trying to jam, and Dennis is playing WoW. We can't. It's
Yeah.
2:00 in the afternoon, and
Yeah.
I don't know when he's coming, but he's the
Yeah.
drummer. We need him.
I'd be like, dude, I'd be queuing up arenas.
But you said you're like top. Was it like top 10% or top? Maybe it was 1%.
So I am right now. I'm a part of a cutting edge guild on the realm Illidan in World of Warcraft. So Illidan is the home realm to what is now the current race to world first guild.
Mm-hmm.
So every say 6 months or so, they will release a new raiding dungeon, and so it'll have like 8 to 10 bosses that you go in. There are 4 different levels of difficulty, and the most difficult is mythic. And so like when these things come out, there will be like a race to see what guild can do it first, sort of thing. And the percentage of those players compared to the rest of the WoW community is about 1% of guilds
Wow.
who are in that cutting edge.
And you're doing
cutting edge is an achievement you get for killing the last boss on the hardest difficulty before the next raid comes out.
So is there like I'm sure this is broadcasted.
Yes, this
Is there money? Is there money involved?
Oh yeah, there's money involved. A
Dude,
lot
the
of
money
it comes
in
from,
gaming
like,
is crazy now.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
'Cause
Billions of dollars.
They have like this shit. Last year, like Red Bull sponsored an event.
Well, you look
I don't know
at
if
what
you're
FaZe
familiar
is
with
doing right
Method.
now. FaZe is giving
Yeah.
$20,000 to 5
Oh,
people
yeah,
who win this
dude.
thing.
FaZe
$20
has-
each. $20,000 each.
Oh my god, dude! I don't even. The amount of money that FaZe as an organization makes is
They're awesome.
silly. It's insane. Oh yeah, dude, they're great, and it's awesome to see the fact or just see that happening now. Because like back when I was a kid, like. You'd have to like get fraps on your computer, and you'd have to like record your matches, and then you'd have to upload your matches to YouTube.
Montages.
Yeah,
We made
exactly.
we
It's
made
all
Halo
montages.
montages.
Yeah, that's exactly. You'd have to cut up your video. You'd have to put music behind
But there were
it.
guys that were doing it,
Oh yeah.
and they were pros.
But yeah, now you've one button though. One
We didn't
button
have
and you're
Twitch.
broadcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah, So
Yeah, you don't even
it's
need a
awesome
PC.
to see where gaming has come.
It's great for
But,
people like us who have. Gaming has
yeah.
always been such a crutch for me, like in my mental health. Even like when it was bad, like when I was depressed, I always had it.
Yeah.
I always had it to even like now it's like unwinding or like coming here and hanging out with the community, but it's always been there.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's cool that we're meeting here now. As you're 29, right? You're 29.
Yeah, 29.
I'm 30. We're meeting here now and talking about like
Yeah.
real stories in this environment. I feel like there's so many people here, and that's why I do this.
That's
need
what I love
that need
about
to
it.
hear this stuff.
We're all on the same level.
We all have stuff we go through.
Yeah, man. Like, unfortunately, we get debuffs, we get buffs, but like, that's kind of how I look
like
at it
it.
now. You
I
know what
like
I
it.
mean? Like, we're gonna be okay. Like, there are healers. There are resources that we can find, to buff ourselves, to equip ourselves, to shield ourselves, like we have to use those resources.
It's tools, and I mean, there's so many different ways you can do it. I mean, you obviously can come here. That's fine.
Yeah, this is
But,
definitely.
I don't claim to be a professional, but that's not the point of what we
Yeah,
do
but this
here.
is the
I want it
same
to be
stuff
regular people,
you do in a meeting, like
Yeah, but
being
you
open,
can
being
go to
raw.
therapy. There's tools everywhere. There's chests you find in the world that'll help you.
Oh hell yeah.
And it's learning how to use it. But, just like when we were young, I'm going to keep the metaphor going here with gaming. Like, we used to have player's guides when we were kids. Remember Nintendo Power back in the day?
Oh yeah, dude.
See, we're showing our age now here.
You have to wait for the magazine to beat the game.
Dude.
'cause
Dude, I'm watching that.
I get stuck one place and be like, I need the next issue of Nintendo Power to come out so I can get past this part of the game.
They had, you got Netflix, right? Everyone does. They have that new documentary.
Oh, it's awesome. What's it
And
called?
I
I
don't
watched
know, I
it.
can't remember.
It was
I watched
dope.
the
It was
whole
cool.
thing, and
High Score or something. It's
High
called?
Score.
Yeah.
And they talk about how they had game counselors at Nintendo, and they would sit at the computer like us right now, and you'd call, and they would be like some frantic kid on the other end of the phone. And
Right.
Dennis would walk you through it with all his knowledge.
Let me help you, little Timmy.
Dude, that's
man.
times have changed. And,
Yeah, now it's just you go to YouTube.
That's
Everything's right there.
that's what I
All
do, man.
walkthroughs.
When I get
Yeah.
stuck,
Oh, hell yeah.
I go to YouTube or I come here
That's
on
the way.
Twitch.
Yeah.
So what
Right
else are you
now-
doing? You're doing WoW. That's positive.
Doing WoW. And WoW's like a weekly thing, so like every week the raid resets, so we I raid on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights. So like from 9 to 12, it's like that's like my time with the boys sort of thing, like
Yeah, you got to
hang
set
out with my
aside time.
friends. And then more recently now, I've been engaging in a lot of like tabletop. So not only have I gotten into playing Magic cards, but we have also been playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons.
D&D.
So we've been getting into like D&D.
Nice, man.
I just got into it. Like D&D is sort of a new thing for me. Like, I had never been through a campaign. So I was just like poking around Twitch one day.
I've never played it. We might have to hook it up one day.
Yeah,
dude,
we're
I'd
gonna
come chill with you.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
dude, that would be sick, dude.
I live
Absolutely.
with
Definitely come
Dan.
through.
I live with Dan Kiefer now.
Kiefer?
He
Oh
says
my
hi.
God, dude,
I'm
I love
at his,
Dan.
I'm at his house. He
Dan, I
sent me a
love
text.
you.
He said hi, Dan.
Dude,
We
that's
should
awesome.
all hang out.
Yeah, heck
it
yeah,
up.
dude. That would be amazing. We'll definitely get together.
Like the
or,
good old days.
Reconvene after this. Hell yeah, dude.
But
But
I wanted to point something out. And
Sure.
like what we're talking about, because when this stream first started, before you even came on, we had a younger man, I think, come on here. He was 20, and he was saying, he doesn't think he's good looking. All of his people don't think his hobbies are cool, and he wants to like have money and do all this stuff. And I just like want to point out, like, no matter what you're going through, you just embrace who you are. We're sitting here just talking about stuff we love.
yeah,
And that's going to be your crutch. You can't try to pretend to be someone
there's
else.
freedom in that.
There's so much freedom in it. So when you lose everything, when things get bad, you can do whatever you want. What's the quote from Fight Club? It's only after you've lost everything that you're free to do anything. But you have to
Yeah.
you have to love who you are and stay true to who you are.
100%.
I didn't want to lose that thought.
I like that. Absolutely. That's dope.
Boys. So you're doing WoW. I did want you to talk a little bit about just the what's the word for it? Just the value of like being in a good relationship.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I know
So,
for
like-
me it was like your whole life, because for me, like, I still do. I place a lot of energy and worth in my relationships, but it's almost like the right relationship. You don't need to do that. It's just like love. It
comes
just
almost
exists.
natural.
It's
Yeah.
natural. So.
Yeah. Although I will say it requires work,
Oh, definitely.
because in my life and from where I am, like I owe it to her to every day be better than I was the day before.
Mhm.
And that's not like that's not like a suppressive sort of thing for me. Like that's freeing for me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's sort of like, I have every day now to do something nice for you. I have every day, and it's sort of it gives my life meaning a little bit.
Well, and
You
you're
know?
also being who you are by doing that. It kind of
Yeah,
ties
because
into what you're saying.
yeah, exactly. It works well with my personality. It really does. And I don't want to say that recovery is dependent on relationships because it's not. If you don't want to get better, you will not get better.
Mhm.
You can't get clean for your mom. You can't get clean for your girlfriend. You can't get clean for your boyfriend. You can't get, you have to get clean for yourself.
Mhm.
And so I will say that a lot of the things that I do for other people, I do selfishly for myself. I actually do it for me because it makes me feel good. Doing things. I like being a servant.
Yeah,
Making
that's
other
not a
people
that's not a
happy.
bad thing. I
Right,
don't
but
think.
this helps me in my recovery, sort of thing. Like doing good things for other people keeps me clean.
Yeah.
And like seeing, it's just I've changed the way that I look at the world in such a dramatic way from the time that I started this journey of recovery to where I am now.
Well, that's why I asked, because before it
Yeah,
was negative and you were having negative
yeah,
relationship, and I've
exactly.
been there too. So it's like it's almost like a power of positivity
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it really was. Like I'm gonna go back to what I said before. What you say, what you hear, what you believe. I started to want change, and I started to have a reason for change, and change started happening.
Yep.
And yes, there. It's still, you still have to fight every day,
Dude, it's
and
not
it
life is
really is a
that's
fight.
life though too. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And I think we kind of have this um, weird abstract view that life should be easy, or not easy, but life shouldn't suck, and life sucks.
well, because you don't want
Realistically,
life
like,
to devalue how you feel.
yeah, you know what I
You
mean.
know what I'm saying?
Like shitty things are going to happen. Like that's life. Like I know I grew up in the picket fence with we have to make everything look good on the outside sort of thing. Like you know, I had to realize that it's okay for bad things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like at first, something bad would happen and it would destroy my life. Because how could this happen? I just it would just blindside me, And now when I sort of take negative instances and I take bad things as just like, oh, okay, that happened. What do we do next? How do we respond? It's
Yep.
no longer what happens to me that defines me, but how I react.
Mm-hmm.
You
What is
know,
this teaching me?
right? Exactly.
Life doesn't happen to you; it happens for you, kind of thought.
Exactly. It's like I was
Yeah.
a passenger for so long.
Yeah.
I would watch my life go by, and now I feel like I'm in the driver's seat.
You
You
are,
know?
man. It's
Yeah.
this has been. We'll probably wrap it up in a few. We've been going for a little
Yeah.
while. We've been
Dude,
going
I can
almost 2
talk for
hours.
hours, dude.
I know, and we'll
It's
do it
easy.
again. We'll definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
we gotta
I
do it
love what
again.
you're doing. I
Thanks,
love
man.
what you're doing. If I was not as much of an introverted person, I would try and stream regularly. It's just not my personality.
Yeah.
I tried it, but I fucking love that you're doing what you're
Thanks,
doing.
man.
Now you're grinding right now, and you're every day. And
It's work. It's definitely work.
It is work. It is work, but it's such a shining light, not only in our small community in New England, but in the larger community of just playing games, man. And it's I
Thank
love
you,
to
man.
see it. Yeah,
It's
it's awesome.
I love it too, man. And like I said, I got into this because I get it. For
Yeah.
my own story. I want people to know that we all go through something, whether it's
Yeah.
suicidal thoughts, depression, anxiety, addiction, no matter what it is. Like, it's okay. Like, let's just talk about
Yeah.
it.
Hell yeah.
And like, I want to normalize it.
Yeah. I like that.
This stuff should be normal.
Right. We shouldn't be
we should be
ashamed
able
to talk about it. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, and we'll have to do it again. I want to
I like-
have.
yeah,
I would
definitely.
love to have you on. I got a sub. That's your brother,
Hey.
Brendan. He used to deliver pizza to
Coming
my
in,
house.
All-star. That's awesome. And
Thanks for the sub, man.
I will say one more thing.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna give you the floor now,
Okay.
and just say anything else you want to say for as long as you want to say it.
Well, I will just say this for anybody who may be losing hope or may have family that they're alienated from. You know, for a long time, I hurt the people closest to me. Um, my brother included. My brother, my mother. And through this recovery process, right now, like my relationship with my family is probably the strongest it's ever been. And I just want other people to know that recovery is possible. You're not a lost cause, you know. Like there is hope,
There is.
where you may feel hopeless, just don't lose that hope, you know. Um, People like you or I are here to hear you,
There's
to
people
talk to you.
everywhere, and like
Yeah.
we talked about it on the last stream. Like I think a lot of the stigma, dude, is like you feel like there's somebody always worse off than you, but that doesn't mean that what you're going through isn't a big
Right.
deal, or that you can't get help or you don't need help.
Right.
If it's a big deal to you, we can do something about it,
Right.
and that sharing your pain is gonna help it go away
Right. That
eventually.
doesn't
it takes
invalidate
time.
you. Like you
Not
still
at all.
matter. You still matter. We all matter.
Mhm.
Like, because at the end of the day, all we have is each other. All of
That's
the
it.
stuff that we surround ourselves with, the things that we, try to make ourselves feel better with, none of it's coming with us.
Well, and
You
too,
know?
like we live in a consumption culture that tells
Oh,
us
yeah.
we're not good enough all the time.
Right.
Too.
It's oh my goodness, the society we live in is so ass backwards.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's up to us, and that's
Yeah.
why we do this.
we really have to fight. Not only are we fighting ourselves, I always I always fight with myself, because
Me too.
your carnal desire is not to do the right thing, so you're fighting with yourself, you're fighting with society who tells you it's to drink and smoke and look cool and cool, this is that, and and it's
You want to fit in.
you
too.
have to break exactly, and you want
Mhm.
to fit in, you have to break the norms, and it's not easy to do that.
But no matter where you are, there's people trying to do the same thing as you.
Exactly, you're
There's
not
people
alone.
feeling the pull that are trying to get away. Like Brendan was saying last week that he goes to meetings like every day, different
Oh, yeah.
groups too. You can
There's,
go.
like-
They're everywhere.
Oh yeah, I have like like when I was super active, I had a young people's meeting that I could go to every day of the week. In different locations, be it Coventry, West Hartford, Farmington. I was all over the place, but I was with a group of kids like myself. I'd say young adults, so like from 16 to 30. I mean older adults can come too, but it's like even if you feel like you don't want to be surrounded by a bunch of old guys, like there are
Yeah.
meetings for young adults specifically. They're the resources we have now. It's really has never been better, and
It's getting
that's
better
what
still.
that's
too.
what I love to see it. Yeah, exactly, and it's continuing to do better. It's continuing to improve, and it's like it gives me hope that other people can sort of experience and get the sort of the opportunity that I was able to sort of make advantage of.
Yeah. Learn to value yourself. It's
Yeah.
there. It's there. But you do have to look, and that's a question I keep asking is how do we as people, not as professionals, how do we as a community make people feel better and to getting to that step? And
Yeah.
that's not a question we need to answer right now. That's a question we need to talk about with our families and our friends, because at the end of the day, everybody needs help at some point.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that, but
Oh, absolutely.
you need to feel okay in doing it because
And don't be ashamed of that help.
no, not at all,
You
not
know?
at all.
I think that's it took me a while to get there, to
Me
be
too.
like, it's okay to see a therapist. It's okay if, it's okay if I have to be on medication, because for a long time I was just like, no, I'm not like that, it's not me. And it's just like, it's okay, man. Like, it really is. It's not that big of a deal. Like, people take
No.
medications, people talk to therapists. Like, it's okay.
Well, and you see that once you get in there, you're like, the doctor's like, okay, like
Yeah.
talk to me, and you're like, oh, so this is okay.
This
all
is
right,
this is
let's
it.
go.
This is all I got to do.
And,
Yeah,
and
and it's,
two, I want to say, like, I got really lucky. I got a great therapist right off the
awesome.
bat. She's amazing.
That's
It's not gonna work the first time every time for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, so like don't be
That's fair.
discouraged if that is your case. And I will put more resources if you're from Connecticut like we were. We'll get in touch after, Dennis.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
We'll put
I'll
some
get you
stuff
those.
up just as a kind of follow up to the stream
That'd be
for
great.
anyone looking for help or somewhere to go. There's even websites you can go on to. I always talk about To Write Love on Her Arms on here.
Oh,
You know,
awesome.
When we
That's
were
awesome.
kids, I didn't realize
Yeah.
how big of a deal they were and what the
No,
things
I
they
know,
were doing, and
dude.
they're still doing it. And
Yeah.
you know, you can go on their website, TWLHAHOA, and type in your zip code, and boom, zillion different kinds of resources,
that's
places
awesome.
you can go, places you can call.
That's
But
awesome.
I'll make it even easier and put some stuff in. I think we're gonna wrap it up here, man.
Yeah,
it was
a great place to wrap it up.
it was really great having you on. I'm gonna
Yeah, dude, I'm
we'll get the whole
very
thing on
happy to.
YouTube. I'll have to splice
Dope.
together the two because we had our little connection issue there, and we'll share that with the world. Anything else you want to say before because I'm gonna hang up the call and that'll be the end of the stream.
Yeah. You know what? No, not really. I feel good about.
We
everything
covered a
I've
lot of
said.
stuff,
Yeah, I
man.
covered. I hope I didn't ramble too. I'm like the worst at. I get caught off in tangents. I had like talking points, and I think I touched on all of them.
Yeah, and I mean you don't have to. I tell everyone that wants to come on here and comes on here, like it's not about covering everything because I want to have people return.
Heck yeah.
You know, and talk about
Absolutely.
different stuff too.
I like
And,
that.
I mean, that's definitely something we'll figure out. I am, for those of you guys listening, I'm going to be visiting family in South Carolina, in the heart of the COVID. Well, no, not really. Where we go, we're not near anyone. North Myrtle Beach / Little
Oh,
River.
okay. Oh, that's dope.
So it's like kind of on the outside of all the crap down there right now. So
Yeah.
I'm not too worried. I'm gonna have a good time.
That's dope.
But I won't be streaming. I might get on because the 10th is Suicide Prevention Day, International Suicide Prevention Day. So I might get on if you guys want to talk, and just I'll answer questions, interact with you because we don't do a whole lot of interactive during these interviews. It's kind of just me interviewing whoever's on, and that's cool. We gotta have both. But enough from me. It's been real, man. Thanks
It's been very
so much.
real. Hey, thank
Um,
you so much for having me,
dude.
man. This was awesome. And,
And,
yeah, I definitely look forward to continuing, our conversations and, exchanging resources. And
Yeah, we gotta hang out. man.
have
Chill.
a good week, dude. Yeah, heck yeah, hell yeah. On a personal note, we definitely do need to get together now that
No.
COVID's very
I
subsided.
know, we're good in
especially
Connecticut.
up here. Yeah.
we're good in Connecticut.
Yeah.
and, dude, thanks for sharing and like opening up and like.
Oh, absolutely.
I know it's emotional, but that's okay. Like,
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
It's,
Oh,
it's
dude, I
so
feel good.
important. It's so important. I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get emotional and they like apologize to me, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I get why you're doing it.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Everyone, it's okay
That's
to
awesome.
cry. It's
I
okay to
appreciate
do
that.
what you need to do. But
Thanks, man.
I'm gonna let you go, guys.
Definitely.
Let you go, Brendan. I'm gonna switch over to the end screen. If you guys want to stick in the chat, we'll go raid somebody. But I'm gonna put on some tunes and we're gonna call it a night here.
Awesome.
All right,
Have a good
guys.
night, brother.
Take it easy, man. Be well.
All right. Adios.
Wasted my time. out of mind. Now here I am, at the end of the line. Can we just rewind, or is this where we lie? How can we stand when we fall out of time?